Hello, everyone. It's Bennett Forrest, your fantasy football commissioner, here with the birthday edition of the ForrestLand MishMash 2014 weekly recap. So it's week 6 edition and also the birthday edition, as today is my 39th birthday. I'm really excited to be entering the last year of my 30s. It's a little scary, but you know what they say, 40 is the new 30, and I don't feel a day over 25 anyway. So with that, let's get into the fantasy football recap for week 6. We had one game that was really close. It came down to Monday night, as the Somerset Stallions, who were previously leading the Mish division, have now fallen to 500 and are no longer leading the division with a tough luck 5-point loss. Just needed a little bit more from Austin Davis, the the St. Louis quarterback, to get the 5 extra points that would have put him over the top for the win. Of course, Third and Oolong's probably saying the same thing, where if we would have gotten a little more from Frank Gore, it wouldn't have even been an issue. So you can look at that both ways, of course. But Third and Oolong, I'm sure, will take the win with -1 from C.J. Spiller. But you see the quarterbacks did well. Of course, DeMarco Murray, who's got to be the league MVP, probably fantasy MVP as well. And even in spite of the running backs, look at this. You have 28 and 21 from the quarterbacks. You have one running back doing okay, but 2 running backs basically getting nothing and still getting a win. That's a good win. You got to take that. They climbed to 500 at 3-3. Somerset Stallions, again, a little bit disappointing with Austin Davis only getting 12 points. Marshawn Lynch not doing too well either. So all that adds up to a measly 140 points and a loss and falling out of first place for the Stallions. Another game, let's see. Well, let's talk about the one team that's just blowing everyone out of the water, which is Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy. You'll see when we get to the standings in a little bit that everyone's pretty bunched up in the middle except for Ray Finkel, who goes to 6-0. They've had a little bit of good luck with people not scoring a lot of points against them so far, but not this week. This is not the case. A well-deserved win, 184 points, just nice, steady all around. Obviously, it got started with that amazing performance by T.Y. Hilton on Thursday night. Not only does he get 223 yards and 9 catches, but got the game-winning touchdown, because that always takes a little bit of the excitement out of a big fantasy performance when a guy gets 1,000,000 yards but no touchdowns. It's always a little disappointing. So T.Y. Hilton certainly deserved at least 1 touchdown. And those 39 points obviously set the ball in motion for the Finkel's Kicking Academy, having a really good week. Also got to give a big pickup for Brendan Oliver. 2 weeks in a row with Ryan Matthews out has really done well. And he shows that 1 week wasn't a fluke. We'll have to see if the second week's a fluke, but definitely 2 weeks in a row. Good waiver wire pick for the Kicking Academy. Just goes to show no matter what your record is, you still have to keep your eye on the waiver wire, especially with Rashad Jennings going out and now Stephen Ridley out. So that Oliver pick's going to be interesting moving forward. The Travelers had a valiant effort on Monday night with 33 points from Colin Kaepernick. Of course, 5 touchdowns in the first 1+ quarter for Joe Flacco was amazing. You'd like to think that would hold up for a win. But just not enough points elsewhere for the Travelers. They do get a very respectable 161 points, but not enough this week, and they have their 3rd loss in a row. They're 2-4, and like I mentioned, Ray Finkel, the only team really that's really distancing themselves from the rest of the pack at 6-0. So congrats, Ray Finkel. Some other games, a real disappointing performance by the Slim Aussies, only 120 points. Obviously, I'm, have firsthand knowledge because I'm watching my team closer than anyone else. It was a little bit back and forth, and Tom Brady had his best game of the year, and even the late touchdown when I would have thought the Patriots were going to be conservative and with a lead, but they went down the field against Buffalo to put the game away, and Tom Brady got an extra touchdown for that. Another bad omen for the Aussies was at the very, very end of the late Sunday afternoon games. It was about a 10-point game before the Cardinals got a garbage interception returned for a touchdown. Kirk Cousins just embarrassing had no business throwing that ball, and fantasy-wise, that's always a big plus to get a garbage defensive touchdown at the end of the game when really the game was out of reach in the first place. Also got a nice mention for Larry Fitzgerald having his first good game of the year. You could see fantasy points. Really had just about 20-something points coming into the week for the whole season, and he gets a nice first touchdown of the year and a nice game for Larry Fitzgerald. That's more what you would expect. So that was a bonus. That definitely helps Be More BPE break their 4-game losing streak. And Deshaun Jackson, I think he had 3 catches, but yeah, 115 yards. I mean, that's Deshaun Jackson. He's all or nothing. He gets those big catches. So he either has a really monster day or a mediocre day, as you can see. 1 catch in those 2 games, but then 8, 5, 5, 3, and over 100 yards in the other. So Deshaun Jackson this week, at least, is a hit and not a miss. And Be More PB, I'm sure, is thrilled to break the 4-game losing streak and get the win. Again, real disappointing for the Slim Aussies. When you have 2 Giants or 2 people on the same team, and then that team in real life scores no points, that's obviously not going to do good and do well for you in fantasy. So Andre Williams, 5 points, Larry Donnell, 1 catch in the Sunday night game. And just to add insult to injury, the one small bright spot for the Giants was when Larry Donnell made an amazing one-handed juggling catch for a touchdown. That put the Slim Aussies right back in the game, but no, there was a penalty on the play. The touchdown gets called back, and then I believe on the next drive, or maybe 2 drives later, Darren Sproles gets a touchdown to ice the game, and then he gets hurt right after that, but not before he scores the icing touchdown for Be More BPE to secure the win. So I'm sure Be More BPE is very happy, as disappointed as I am for the Slim Aussies falling to 2-4. I was this close to getting to 500 after going 0-3. I'll have to wait at least 2 more weeks to get to 500, and Be More BPE stays in the hunt. And again, with all the other teams bunched up in the middle, it's amazing how 1-4 goes to 2-4, and all of a sudden you're in the playoff mix. So good job there, Scoop Mayer. What other games? We have the Cartel taking the lead in the Mish division with a nice 158 to 131 lead. Bench Stud of the Week award clearly goes to Arian Foster. Calvinators are having a little bit of trouble with fantasy in their sophomore season. A couple weeks ago had Russell Wilson on the starting when he was on a bye. Now you have Arian Foster, 29 points on the bench. Doing the math, if you take away Doug Martin, it's still not quite enough to win. But look at Arian Foster. Look what he did the week before. He's had 400-yard games. He was hurt 1 game. So he had 1 odd game, but coming off a 157 2-touchdown scoring game, you really got to put Arian Foster in over Doug Martin. I mean, what did Doug Martin? He was coming off 45. I mean, he hasn't gotten more than 50 yards all season. So why Arian Foster wasn't in, only the Calvinators can answer that question. But doing, again, the quick math, it still wouldn't have been enough to beat the Cartel, who get 158 points. In spite of only 6 points from Manning and really only 18 points from Romo, considering the Cowboys had a real good game in real life. And Matt Asiata's also come down to earth. But enough points from Alshon Jeffrey, Vincent Jackson, Demaryius Thomas to get the win for the Cartel. And again, they're 4-2 now, and they're leading the Mish division with a 3-game win streak. Finally, we have a little bit of a tough luck loss for Graceland, who falls to 2-4. Chiomes has been very up and down this year, but they're 3-2-1, second in the division. Obviously, Cam Newton's been playing well lately. That's been huge because if you look, he missed the first game with injury, but then he had very mediocre 1-touchdown games for 3 weeks in a row. All of a sudden now he's got 2 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row. I think he had a rushing touchdown. So Cam Newton's definitely going to help the Chiomes. Also, Giovanni Bernard had an 80-yard touchdown run, or it might have even been 90, I don't remember. But he gets 28 points, so very respectable 162 points for Chiomes. They go to 3-2-1. Graceland having a tough season, still not out of it at 2-4, but LaShawn McCoy's obviously still got to be the disappointment of the year. Maybe him and Eddie Lacy for the Packers, probably the two biggest disappointments. He did have 150 yards rushing almost, no touchdowns, but looks like McCoy's back. He's going to be back on track for the rest of the year. I wouldn't worry too much about him, but not enough other points, as you can see, and Graceland falls. What else? Did I cover all the games? Did I cover all 5 games? I think I did. So now let's take a look at the standings. We have, again, a lot of bunched up teams here in the middle. We have, of course, Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy at 6-0, but everyone else is, right at 500 or maybe a hair above. So it's very tight for the second, third playoff and fourth playoff spot, really. So, and we're not even halfway done with the season. So Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy sitting pretty at 6-0, 2.5 game lead on the division, which is huge. If you look at the points, we start to see that still fairly commensurate with the standings. You have the league leader in points, Ray Finkel. So there you go, 6-0. You also have Chiomes with 948 points against, and also the Travelers 963. So a little bit of bad luck there. The Stallions still leading the Mish division and second in overall scoring in the league, with a little bit of tough luck, and they have a 2-game losing streak. So Stallions are definitely a little bit a victim of bad luck, and they're only 3-3. So as you can see, there's plenty of room. Even Graceland and Be More BPE, only 1 game out of essentially being tied for a playoff spot. And we still have 1 week left before we hit the halfway point. So still a lot of fantasy football to be played. Take a quick look going into week 7, where we have the 2 division winners playing, Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy, Catonsville Cartel, and then a bunch of other teams, obviously right in the middle, playing each other. So, still time for 1 or 2 teams to sort of make a run here, and we'll see what happens. Before I let you go, I do want to quickly remind you about the tilt. As you can see, we have 5 joined. We have a couple people like Matt paid for Sarah as well, so it's never going to get to 10. But basically, we have 150 in the pot plus 25 privately sent money. So that means that we only have 3 more people that need to pay their league dues. So if you're not on this list and you haven't messaged me privately, you know who you are. Mainly people from the Baltimore area is our main culprits there, and then there's one other local person. So again, get your dues in. This is so easy. It's like a $1.50 transaction fee. It's nothing. Click on it, a couple clicks, put your credit card, put your PayPal in, get it paid. Let's get it done, guys. And otherwise, good luck this week. And don't forget to set your lineups. Look for buys, look for injuries, and don't forget about the Thursday night game. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. And of course, happy birthday.